So let's start with audio. And I'll actually link audio and video together because the processes for them are exactly the same. I'll actually select video because my example today is a video. So I'm going to just select video. But again, keep in mind that whatever I say for the video content type also exactly applies to your audio content type. So for video, when I select that or audio, a secondary dropdown will appear where I then have to decide how I want to input this audio or video into the system. And you will see from the dropdown, I have two options. I can either upload a native file or I can choose to input a media embed code that would literally embed that video from an external video website. So I have YouTube, Vimeo, or Ustream. Those are my two options. If I decide to upload a native file, then I will go ahead and simply browse for that file. My file name will appear here, and I do need to click a second button, upload, in order to trigger that upload process. And you'll see a progress bar will appear. Now, how fast this is able to load depends, of course, on your internet connection and the size of your file. But you can monitor the progress here. And if you do need something to do while this is loading, you can also opt to load a graphic or image to go along with this. This graphic will simply be something for your attendees to look at while that video is starting up or buffering. If you were to upload a graphic at this point, you don't have to worry about it disrupting this upload process. These two can happen at the same time. There are some considerations for you to keep in mind regarding that, regarding browsing for your own file from your computer. We have 3 tips for you in that arena. So number 1, we recommend that you keep the size of your file within the ideal threshold of 1.2 to 1.5 gigabytes. Okay, that is the most ideal threshold. Usually files that fall within that size have no problem being uploaded into the system. Now you can certainly push up to 2 gigs if you need to. However, I would advise against it just because if you're even a little bit over 2 gigs, then the system will start to run into problems. That file size is a little too large. So try to keep it within that ideal threshold of 1.2 to 1.5. Second tip for native files is to compress your file ahead of time. So our system does conduct its own compression process for optimization. However, we do advise you do your own compression as well. And it doesn't matter what you use. There's tons of free websites, there's softwares, doesn't matter, just compress it. That way you are doing your own work to flatten out the file and make it a little bit smaller and get rid of that junk and that bloat, which will just help the system out a little bit more in the upload process. And then finally, the third tip that we have for you for native files is to hardwire into your internet connection if possible. This is simply because we have run into cases in the past where a client relied entirely on a wireless network. They took the time, 1 hour, 2 hours, to upload a ton of native files, only to unfortunately find out upon testing that many of those files did not work or they were corrupted. So this is a tip that has come about from trial and error and previous experiences with clients. So this is something we advise now, is that you hardwire into your internet, whether it's by your Ethernet or plugging into the back of your modem, whatever it is, just to be safe and to cover all your bases. We do advise that, especially if you're planning to upload a lot of native files. We certainly don't want you to run into the problem where it's time to test your room and you find out that many of those files are corrupted. So you want to make sure that you are stabilizing your internet connection as much as possible. So that's the first way to input an audio or video. The second way, of course, is to use a media embed code. Now, as a reminder, a media embed code is simply HTML code that allows for the insertion of a video into a website. So in our case, it will be trying to insert that video into the 6Connects platform. So you only have 3 options here. You have YouTube, Vimeo, or Ustream. So where is your asset coming from? Regardless of where it's coming from, just select the appropriate choice, copy that media embed code from that native website and just paste it into here. And that's all you need to do. Typically, the media embed code can be found as a subcategory under the share option. So if I were in YouTube, for example, and I wanted to share a video, then I click share. And then under that share option, there's usually, or there should be an option there to copy the literal HTML or media embed code. So I would copy that and just paste it in this box, and that's it. And again, it's the same whether it's YouTube, Vimeo, or Ustream. And same with the native upload. If you want to upload a graphic to go along with this, you certainly can. Now, a quick note, if you wanted to use media embed code for a video that is not within this list, So say, for example, you had a video from Google, then you need to think about YouTube as a catch-all for anything that is not one of these three. So going back to my example, if I had a Google video or a video from Google, I would click YouTube because YouTube is my catch-all. And then the same process, I would copy that media embed code and I would paste it in here and I'm good to go.